Good afternoon. My name is Madison Harris. When you guys see this picture, I'm sure most of you recognize this as a satellite image of Lake Nona. In this picture, you can see newly built infrastructure surrounded by grassy plains and forests. This shows that Lake Nona still hasn't reached its full potential and there's still much left to do. But if I showed you this picture, would you guys recognize this as the same Lake Nona you saw in the previous picture before? This is the future of Lake Nona. Because of people's desire for opportunity, wealth, and leisure, we are going to see a major increase in population over the next few years. But will Lake Nona be able to manage this urban sprawl? In my first source, What is Urban Sprawl by Conserve Energy, it talks about how population growth affects urban sprawl, and then furthers on how that population growth affects businesses. I use this as my first source because a city is nothing without a population and businesses to support it. Some missing information in this source is the impacts urban sprawl has on business because it mainly focuses on the relationship between population and urban sprawl. Some false logic I saw in this was how the author claims that people moving farther out of the city affects their social life and they aren't as social, which is a false and biased statement. In my next source, How to Build a Great American City by Jennifer Reginald, she distinguishes that medical cities' unique characteristics are expected to make it a hotspot for business and travel. For example, the closeness to the airport and theme parks and these newly built medical centers are going to cause families to relocate and want to move here. I use this in the first body paragraph because it introduces Lake Nona as a rare opportunity to succeed in both livability and appeal. This source doesn't include the factors that have caused previous cities who have attempted this and hasn't incorporated what caused them to fail. If we knew what caused them to fail, this might help ensure that we're going to succeed in the future. There was no false logic or reasoning in my source. In this picture, you can see 5 assets that have helped to develop Medical City over the next few years. The VA Medical Center and Nemours Children's Hospital are 2 big parts of this. This source highlights the way in which medical centers and medicine will impact travel and families over time. I place it in the second body paragraph because this is vital for Medical City's growth over the next few years. This source is missing, though, information on how Tavistock's investments, such as the Johnson & Johnson Company longitudinal study, will affect the daily lives of citizens that already live here in Lake Nona. There is no false logic or reasoning in this source. In my next source, The Vision of a Smart City by V. Bowerman, I included this figure straight from the source, which talks about the Smart Cities initiatives and includes some active things they are working on and proposed things they are working on. This source describes the role and importance of smart cities on transforming urban sprawl. I use this in my last paragraph because this introduces my solution, smart cities. This source is missing alternate plans and strategies to result back in if the smart city concept fails. There's no false reasoning or logic in the source. In my last source, I bring back How to Build a Great American City by Jennifer Reginald because it relates back to my concept of smart cities. It incorporates the past, the present, and the future into explaining how Lake Nona has changed over time and what is expected to be seen over the next 25 years. In this source, it includes how some technologies will be incorporated, such as Cisco, into our future city. This source does not include much information on how long the new infrastructure will take to be built and how it will affect the taxpayers' dollars. There's no false logic or reasoning in this source. What questions do you have? Thank you.